So now Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin has been, say, promoted in the
Right,
ranks.
right.
Do you think this will strengthen or weaken DMK further?
See, people in DMK have clearly accepted Udhayanidhi Stalin as their next leader.
Hmm.
Right? They have no problems with it. Let's take one at a time. So basically, the Council of Ministers, the key leaders of DMK, uh, they are completely at peace. There is no anger, or they are not even thinking about, why not me. That's not even there, right? They may have some views about it, as in, well, I mean, we bow down to Sir Karunanidhi. Okay, that's understandable because he built the party to, and took us to where we are today. We have done the same thing to Stalin. He has certainly proved himself adequately, good at what he is doing, or at least in holding the party together.
Mhm.
But this guy too, what has he done? They may have such views, but they are not going to express that in public. They have made it very clear that it's not just Udhayanidhi, even his son. So it's clear acceptance that this family shall be our eternal leaders. So are so many parties in India. It's not something new, right?
Absolutely.
So whether it is Samajwadi Party or Rashtriya Janata Dal, or Devagowda Kumaraswamy,
NCP or
Janata Dal,
yeah.
Secular, you name them, or
Right.
YSR Congress, or your Telangana
NCP.
Rashtra Samiti, wherever you go, right? It's exactly the same. Of course, the grand old party Congress has already firmly established that it shall be the prerogative of one single family to keep giving the next leader to that particular party. Right? So they don't have an issue. Right? But they all also know the dangers in this to their own personal position. Right? Every district, by which I'm not talking about the administrative district, but the party district, which numbers closer to some 70, 80, or even 100, there may be. There are at least two people, sometimes more than three, four, fighting for the primacy from that particular district. And in that, they would like to control who gets the MLA seat.
Hmm.
Is it the person belonging to my camp or the other camp? So
Right.
let's take one district. Let's say if we take Trichy, there is Ken Nehru,
Hmm.
and there is Anbil Mahesh Payamuli. Okay. Now, it's very well known that these two people are at loggerheads with them. Now, Nehru may have excellent relationship with Stalin, and therefore a little edge. But if Udhayanidhi comes, it is very clear that Mahesh Payamuri is bosom buddy of Stalin. I mean, sorry,
Yep.
Udhayanidhi.
Yeah.
Now,
Hmm.
now you will lost the game. I mean, for Nehru, it's over already now. Okay, I know both will continue to remain ministers. Their sons, or I don't know their respective, whether they have son or a daughter, it doesn't matter. They are very egalitarian. So daughter gets, so it will be like Pungove already aruna after already aruna, Kanimuri Envy and Somu after. So they are very very nice in that. It's not only the son after the father. Daughter also, if the daughter is the only one eligible, they will certainly provide the same place.
Platform.
But what would K. Nehru now think? Will he and his progenies get pushed down? Naturally, that's going to happen. So, in every district, there will be immediately the set of people who have lost out because the other one was closer to Stalin. Will now go to Udhayanidhi.
Yeah.
Hey, sir, I'm all for you. You are going to take over as chief minister next. Please consider me as your, whatever it is. Right? So this is is this going to strengthen the party or going to weaken the party? Depends on how this opposing camps will work towards helping or hindering particular camp's candidates in the election.
So this is very interesting. This has got stark similarity with Congress.
Absolutely.
See in Rajasthan,
Absolutely.
Rajasthan, Mr. Gehlot, Mr.
Right.
Sachin Pilot.
Sachin
Same
Pilot.
issue is going to come here.
Absolutely.
And I see this weakening the party further, say in a decade from now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Even, for example, in terms of, for a minute, the impact on policy decisions, it's always going to be disastrous. Whether one or two, I don't see them as stalwarts in bringing great policies to the state. So let's not worry about that for now. Let's look at different segments of the party. Could be the youth wing, it could be the student wing, it could be the lawyers wing, it could be the next MP, Rajya Sabha MP slot that opens up. Father will promise to somebody, son will promise somebody else, right? And there will be clash and there will be bitterness, right? So, how they are going to deal with it when Karunanidhi was alive, though Stalin was, brought in as a working president, it was very clear that as long as Mr. Karunanidhi was hale and healthy and could think, it didn't really matter whether he could move around or whether he was, consigned to a wheelchair. As long as he could think, what he said was the final word. Now, will that remain? Is a question that we have to see.
Right.
In case of Stalin versus Udhayanidhi.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Karunanidhi was very good at balancing the equation within the family.
Right.
That's what a lot of people are saying. But this time around, interestingly, we are seeing, I'm going to say, different kinds of reactions coming even from the Periyarists and all that, right? Saying that this should not have happened. Probably it's because of the different factions in the family that's there. Say, Ms. Kanimozhi there and the other group. Okay, so might be there are some PowerPoints that are there in the family.
No,
And
see,
some people went to the extent of saying that Ms. Kanimozhi might be the Eknath Shinde of Tamil Nadu.
no, I think that is not going to happen. We have to understand that Eknath Shinde happened because a faction could align itself with BJP. I don't expect any faction of DMK to align with BJP.
Right.
It will be bad for both the faction and its head and BJP.
Right.
So that's not going to happen. I don't think it is going to happen. I'm not saying it will not happen, but it's unlikely to happen, is what I would say. However, the same issue, like in the past, I have seen a lot of people gathering outside Kanimozhi's home, hoping that there was a lot more happening prior to Karunanidhi's demise, right? Because Karunanidhi kept visiting that home, and that gave Kanimozhi access to Karunanidhi to at least represent, the case of a certain person, let's say, right? Please provide this person an opportunity to be a councillor or a panchayat head or whatever it is in this particular place. Now, you actually see that Kanimozhi doesn't have that kind of an access to Stalin anymore, right? So you can see the dwindling of crowd outside her home as it is already, right? It's not at all going to happen with Udhayanidhi. So this thing is very clear that Kanimozhi has already been sidelined. Not with a lot of thought. It just has happened, just as a matter of routine. Now, doesn't mean that she's going to break the party, or I don't think she has that kind of a capability either. right? To really break a party, you need considerable support of certain number of MPs, more importantly, certain number of MLAs. I don't think that exists today, honestly. Right? That kind of a block, a Kanimuri block, being there in the party, right? So that's not going to happen. But even for example, I don't expect there being or that there will be a point of serious fight between Udhayanidhi and Father Stalin. Right? Their relationship extraordinarily cordial, and you can see that the equation between them. It's not going to be like what happened between Akhilesh and Mulayam Singh. I don't expect that to happen. The the kind of reactions to Udhayanidhi being promoted quickly had to do with the fact that, unlike Stalin, who came through a certain hard way, was mayor, had worked in the a much smaller region, and then as MLA, and then was brought in as a minister for a fairly hefty portfolio. It's the local administration. So it's sort of like equivalent of your home portfolio, effectively, right? And had worked with some more departments, and then he's getting promoted as chief minister. So there's a process, right?
He's got a story to say.
There is a story, but that is not there. Second, and that is becoming critical now with Annamalai coming into the picture, right? You build a certain narrative, right? You have to build it, you have to be articulate, you have to communicate to people, not some worn out slogans, right? If you look at 70s, 80s, 90s, the usual propaganda slogans used to be like, I will help the poor, I will help the proletariat, I'll help the farmers, we will they won't openly say we'll beat the rich people, but we will tax and ensure that the rich are in their place, and all these
and all that, right?
usual communist slogans that everybody adopted with their socialistic value system, right? The 1990s happen, globalization happens. Now you talk about economy, growth of economy. When did we ever talk about that in the 40s, 50s, 60s, etc.? Right? We didn't. Now, post 2000, that's what you have to talk. That's what the serious ones talk about. We have to talk about $1 trillion economy. That's the DMK slogan for Tamil Nadu, right? Correspondingly, you see Narendra Modi talking about doubling the farmers' income, increasing India's GDP per capita, income per capita, keeping the inflation low. There's a lot of economics being talked about, right? Now, you have Annamalai, who has clearly shown significant grasp of economics. Okay? His education certainly comes through his reading, his understanding, all of that in multiple interviews, in various book launch functions. If you notice, he's participating in a lot of book launch functions.
Absolutely.
Extempore interviews, prepared talks. You see that he is pitching a certain intellectual face.
Absolutely. One point to add there, he not just the book launches, he is going to schools or even the student connect, be it civil services exam connect. And recently he went to Amritanandamayi,
yes,
right? So that college, Amrita College.
Not just the colleges, with the chartered accountants. So you're going to more professional forums where you have highly qualified people sitting there, people who have accomplished, people who understand things and can ask a fairly tough question, right? And you are expected to answer that. And once one person has done that, the other person is under pressure. A similar question is going to be asked at you. The chief minister of Tamil Nadu is going to be asked some of those questions soon, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure he has got his own advisors. There are ministers. There are, like for example, PTR Palnivel Tyagarajan, a brilliant guy, great qualification,
Articulate.
very articulate. Particularly in English, his Tamil is not that good, but he's very good in English. And more importantly, he can really take a complex subject and then in economics and then simplify it and present it.
Convincingly presented.
Convincingly
So that's the
presented.
other way, yeah.
In international fora, he can do that. You go to Telangana, you see son of the chief minister, KT Ramarao, very smooth, suave,
very articulate,
understands things very well. He presents things beautifully. You know, in the central government, you have many. I mean, from Nirmala Sitharaman to Jay Shankar to very many other.
Even Jagan Reddy.
Yeah.
Even Jagan Reddy. He's very smart.
Absolutely.
Many articles.
Yeah. And there are many performing people who are coming up. The earlier era involved people with 5th standard education, 10th standard education, nothing more, very rustic, capable of talking only in their mother tongue, and with very minimal understanding of economics or even their subject. And they will do, sweet nothings and make a general statement, yeah, yeah, chalega, or something of that kind, mostly. That's exactly the kind of a thing that happened in Tamil Nadu as well. I mean, we talk of Jayalalitha as an extremely, not with a lot of education per se in terms of certification, but her, multilingual capability and her ability to deliver very powerful oration in English, Tamil, and she was capable of doing that in to a certain extent in Hindi, and can could present herself in even Telugu, Kannada. As an actress, you pick up all these things, really, right? But if you really honestly ask, if you throw a very complex economics question, or even something sociological, or for example, if I ask about the history of Kaveri problem between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and how to address that, would she, have done a great job on the fly? I'm not so sure about it. I mean, her ability to understand, if she could get experts to explain things to her, probably might have been great. Now, Karunanidhi is also, his English was not good, but his grasp of things and his phenomenal memory, right? That he could, he was a voracious reader. He read everything he could get hold of in Tamil, and had enough people around him. Now, compared to that, Stalin doesn't even figure there in this milieu, right? Where do you see Udhayanidhi there? How hopeless, right? And I'm all equally, I would say that, Palanichami, Edapadi Palanichami, or O Panir Selvam, they don't come with that kind of background. In fact, there is nobody in AIDMK, with the exception perhaps of Mafa Pandirajan, there's no one who can stand their ground and talk about world affairs, Indian affairs, complex problems of governance. No. And it is in this milieu that we get an Annamalai. And you have Udhayanidhi on the other side. And these comparisons will become natural, right? You've got to talk about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even see, that's where again I bring up this Congress comparison. Okay, similar challenge they also faced. Right? With Mr. Rahul Gandhi and all that. Right? So,
there are some differences. but the end result is really funny though.
Yeah.
Narendra Modi is certainly not articulate in English.
Absolutely.
Right? It perhaps is a prepared speech. I know I have seen him in conversations where he's reasonable, on the fly. but his ability to take Hindi is
Absolutely.
not his mother tongue. Gujarati is. The way he can take a fairly complex subject and then present it in Hindi to the larger Indian audience is tremendous. And then he can basically sweep the entire crowd with his oration. Rahul Gandhi is very good in English, as an conversational English, very sophisticated, but completely muddled. An interview with him, the interviewer has to be extraordinarily sympathetic, extremely kind to those pregnant pauses that Rahul Gandhi produces for almost few minutes, and then you will have to turn around and say, "Well, that was fantastic," or something like that, right? Well, you don't really want to, except for the comical value that he provides. How can you actually sit through and watch and listen to Rahul Gandhi? Yes, nothing worthwhile to say, because he just doesn't get his head around to understand the complexities of any country's politics, and certainly the Indian politics.
So
It's sad. Sad. Yeah.
the next thing is like, see, when it comes to Tamil Nadu per se, has the discourse from the public side also, has it actually moved into the intellectual kind yet? I know there's a change coming up, but
Right.
still, I think it's a lot of all these
It is not
right?
yet there.
Yeah.
It's not yet there, right? We would like it to be there, so that you can ask a fairly complex question that affects you, right? For example, I would like the common public to ask about, let's say, climate change and internal combustion vehicle versus electric vehicle, and what is the future going to be, and how, whether it is Annamalai or Udhayanidhi coming to power, what policies will they bring in which will make life better for them, or about jobs, or about education, or about the kind of problems that educated youngsters are facing in finding quality jobs, because the educational institutions are merely providing just a paper degree and not the skills required for the 21st century world. Right? Now, to articulate such a question and demand quality answers, today, if this question is asked in Tamil Nadu, there is only one politician who can answer this, Annamalai. I will say that, we have PTR Palanivel Tyagarajan very much there, right? You could have him address such a question too, without doubt. So, if at all anything, I can only see these two people, right? Nothing else available in front of our eyes, nobody else. Right? There is no discourse of value that is happening. Now, are there enough middle class people to start with? And then the real poor, the lower classes, because for them it is far more important. A middle class person can survive irrespective of who is the ruler, who is the chief minister, because they will have enough there in the system to navigate and get out and get an education here or there. But the poor are really going to struggle. And the poverty in the policies of these parties, it's just staggering, just shocking. That is where Annamalai is a person with whom youngsters actually can connect.
Absolutely.
Right? And there is a person who has gone through competitive exams, has excelled in them.
He is relatable. Right?
Yes.
So that's a relatability factor.
Right? And has a certain worldview, has gone around, has worked in another state in a different cadre, has worked the grassroots there as part of the government machinery. So there are certain things that he brings which can significantly alter people's perception towards him individually and the party, certainly.
Yeah.